when I started arm wrestling, okay, and I viewed the sport, like I thought about arm wrestling is different very much now than it was when I was coming up. When I was coming up, it was a time before the internet. And the knowledge that's out there now, I mean, is a lot different. You have tons of videos, everything. When I came up, I really didn't have a lot. And the way I viewed arm wrestling was, okay, what's happening? Starting in the middle here, and we're going to the side, okay? So, and so I focused a lot on side pressure. And I think a lot of guys did. Like, I think when you look at like the bulk, like the majority of the sport now, as opposed to like 25, 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, you saw a lot of machines like that. You know, you saw a lot of like the great arm wrestlers training side pressure. Like I bought a table, training table off a former Canadian champion called Leanne Dufresne, and looks a lot like a table like this, okay, and has a pulley system here, okay, because she was training this, and most people were, and many people still are. Side pressure lead, okay. The problem is with side pressure is that the part that will fail, okay, is now everybody can benefit potentially, especially at the beginning, from a little bit of side pressure training. But I would not even tell a new guy to do it. I wouldn't. Side pressure is coming from the muscles in your body, but it transfers. Okay, it transfers through this bone and through the ligaments of your elbow. Then it travels up this bone and it ends up in your hand. Okay, and then the other person can feel it. But the limiting factor is never the muscles in your body. Never is. Okay, it's always, for most people, okay, I mean, amateurs may break their bone, but what's going to happen is, like, you know, 3 or 4 year arm wrestlers, guys who have been pulling a while, like strong enough to not break their bone, but, you know, strong enough to get some good force going, they're going to blow their ligaments. Okay, they're going to blow the connective tissue in their elbows. I've done it many times. Okay, happens to all arm wrestlers who are hardcore. If you're a hardcore arm wrestler, you will at some point in your career have elbow issues. Okay, and you know, a big part of the sport is managing that. Okay, but so what I'm trying to say is by training it, you're training false mechanics. Okay, because side pressure happens at the end of the movement. Okay, so that means you start off either pulling up or connecting, right, inside or outside. Okay, and at the end of the movement, after I'm like tapped out from what I can do muscularly, I can add a little bit of bone and connective tissue. Okay, and the same thing, if I'm coming in, I'm cupping down and I'm connecting as hard as I can, and at the end of the movement, I can add a little bit. And that way, it's proper mechanics. Okay, so I don't need to train my side pressure. I just train my fundamentals, and I can add it at the end as I choose. You know, and plus, whenever you arm wrestle, you're using a ton of it, whether you want to or not. Okay, every time we're on the table, okay, you're getting stability that way, and it's more than enough. It's more than enough. If you start to focus on it, like I have many times throughout my career, every 2 or 3 years, I'm like, oh, Devon, maybe you're wrong about that side pressure thing. Maybe you need to train it again. And I'll hit it for a while, and I'll do it for, you know, a couple weeks, and then I hurt my elbow. Happens every time. And I'll probably be due in about 2 years or 3 years, and I'll do it again, I'll hurt my elbow. And so I'll tell you, don't do it. Don't do it. And I'm going to tell you what to do and substitute for it, okay? So many things feel like side pressure, right? Whenever I have too much for you, whenever you have too much for your opponent, they're going to be like, oh, he was going to the side. He might not have been. You just got overwhelmed, and you had to throw in your own side pressure, so you thought he was matching you. The supination of the hand, supination, right? It's a good way to force, you know, to aid in forcing a hook, which we'll get into later. But this motion I have found most beneficial in healing my side pressure, healing my elbow, right? Because you will get lots of injuries, okay, as time goes on. You know, if you're retarded like I am, right? But a great healer is supination training, right? So this, okay, just the ability to see your palm, okay? Because no, you don't want to see your palm, okay, if the guy is forcing you to do it, but sometimes seeing your palm is vital, okay? you can use techniques where you do force that direction. Okay, and it is a subtle difference between, is that side pressure? Well, yes, there is side pressure involved, but it's the supination that is really doing the work. And supination, muscularly, all makes sense. Your body's designed to supinate to some degree, okay? But side pressure, you know, that's what your body's not really, you know, you can do it, but, you know, I don't think that there's muscles really in place to, you know, get massively stronger at side pressure. So I'm going to talk about another kind of concept in arm wrestling. And that concept is that you want to be close to somebody to do the most damage to them. There's a few, you know, the way I look at arm wrestling, you know, I think about it all the time, and I try to relate it through all aspects of my life, you know? Like anything that I see on the table, I'm like, oh, that's just like in life. You know, like for example, the top roll, outside arm wrestling, okay? Make the person come to you. Make them chase you. It's just like in life, right? Like if you are, you know, trying to have a relationship with somebody and you want the power, you make them come to you, right? we play this little game. Like, hey, Jared, come here for a second. See that? He came to me. See that? Right? I have the power right there. Anyways, okay, so that's what you want, right? You want people to come to you, right? You want people to come to you. That's outside arm wrestling theory, okay? But where can you hurt the person the most is when you're intimately close to them, right? If I try and harass some stranger that I don't know, okay, they can brush me off very easily. But the closer I can get to somebody, the more I can really damage them, okay? And it's the same thing in arm wrestling, okay? So what does that mean? What does that mean? Okay, the way I look at arm wrestling is it's like a hierarchy of technique, okay? So, like the most technically sound thing is the post, okay? The post, okay, there's no real counter to it. There really isn't, okay? And that's why I always say that that is what determines all arm wrestling technique, all arm wrestling flow, is whoever has the stronger post can kind of determine, at least technically, the flow of the match. They might not win. It has nothing to do with winning or losing. But if they have a stronger post, they at least get to dictate what happens in the match. The other person's adjusting to them. But that doesn't mean stick with the post. That means you drop down and get intimately close to them. Because the way you can do the most damage is by being as close to them as possible. Right? It's almost like a hill, okay? With the post being on the top. Okay, this is outside technique, okay? So it'd be like, you know, so post, you could have like the highest top roll you could imagine. You do a low hand top roll, you know, and somewhere it just trickled down to where at the end you were doing some full commitment king's move arm wrestling thing, okay? Inside arm wrestling, you'd have like a really high hook, like some real high up thing, you know, where you'd switch to like a dragging style hook, to where you were like pressing, to at the bottom, like at the full like outside region of arm wrestling, is you'd have like a flop wrist press. And I'm not trying to devalue any of these techniques, okay? I'm just trying to tell you where I think they fit in and where to that arm wrestling pyramid. So what I mean by being intimately close to somebody is, so I start off my game, okay, at posting, okay, trying to make the person come to me, right? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Right. Right. So that's where I'm starting off my game, right? But then the guy realizes, okay, he says, all right, he's got too much hand for me, okay? If I stay up there with him, he's just gonna beat me. I don't want to fight a losing battle, right? So he starts to switch his technique. Okay, he starts to make adjustments. Okay, and he's like, okay, I'm not going to be up there with him. I'm gonna press him. Okay, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna press him right off the bat, because a press is a fabulous counter to a post. Okay, fabulous counter. If I'm like all up here, and he decides he's gonna just drill me into a press, if I stay thinking I'm just gonna drive through him with my bicep, it's gonna look something like boom. You know, I'm gonna get flattened, right? So I have to become close to him. I have to use my technical superiority and drop my technique. So I'm just above him, okay? Now I can choose, I have choices, right? But the main choice you're going to do, like the first one, is just about angle. Okay, remember how I said that the post, this high up angle, is what everything flows off of? All right. And the reason why, Rory this time, okay? The reason why is it's this whole ridge, okay? This whole ridge, this whole finger line. There's two like kind of rising ridges that, you know, talk about technique, okay? This one, this line, and this line, okay? And this one is, I'd say, almost more important once the person decides to hold on to you, okay? It's very, very important, okay? And what happens is you're switching from a high hand top roll to a low hand top roll, okay? And this is like the pivot point, okay? Rising, okay, all this is all rising strength, okay? And then the guy can switch and be like, no, I'm gonna cup, right? And then he's gonna come inside to his hand, right? Okay, and at the beginning when we come up and we're deciding who the boss is, it's so much to do with these two ridges, okay? Right? When we're coming up, we're like, okay, all right, I want you to hold on to me, okay? I know you probably never would, but I want him to hold on to me a bit. So say he falls for it, okay? All right, go ahead and set up for a press, right? There, good, okay? All right, and say I haven't changed my game, and I'm still all up high, okay? And really, I'm in the wrong spot. I'm in the wrong spot. I really need to switch to a lower hand style, okay? To become intimately close to him, where the pressure is, okay? I don't want him to get underneath me somehow. I want to drop down to his level. If he decides to come back up, I can very quickly elevate my game once again and just maintain that just slight height advantage over him. More about that, okay? That rising ridge, okay? You see when our hands come together, okay? All right, fair grip, right? Real fair grip, even, okay? Now just open up again, okay? You see where this ridge intersects his hand, okay? That's a fair grip, okay? Now, nobody wants fair grip, right? Does anybody here want a fair grip? Yeah, nobody wants that. That's garbage. Okay, so you're always trying to increase your leverage, right? So at the beginning, it's all about the top, right? It's all about making him hold on to you, get the top of your hand elevated, get these regrips with your fingers, right? Always be walking up, get your finger as high up as you can in their hand, okay? Obviously not covering their knuckle because that's cheating. But you know, you're going that way, right? You're always trying to climb your fingers, okay? Until they start to actually hold on to you, right? Until they make that drop in technique, okay? That adjustment, okay? And that's where you have to drop your technique, okay? And one of the way you do it is switching from a high angle to a lower angle, okay? And people talk about it called low hand top roll. People have probably heard about this, okay? Now the low hand top roll is really just a balancing act, okay? Low hand top roll balancing act is, again, you know how we talked about at the beginning with the defensive hook. You know, you can give it away hard, okay? Or you can kind of float it in, okay? All right, same thing with the low hand top roll, okay? All right, I can give it away hard, okay? Or I can kind of float it in depending on what he's doing, okay? All right, the floating method always is going to require a little bit more technique and a little bit more experience, okay? Going hard, okay, can simplify things. Now, it's about the intersection, right? It's about where this ridge intersects his hand now, okay? If I'm arm wrestling like this, okay, like I said, fair grip, okay? But when I'm pronating, when I'm trying to bend his wrist back, when I'm doing an outside technique trying to get into his fingers, okay, wrist bending back, okay, the best thing I can do, open up your hand, is have the best way to describe it, interaction point, right? Because this is interacting heavily with his wrist. My pronation is interacting very heavily with his wrist when I'm rolling and he's cupping, okay? The best thing I can do is have it higher up, right? If I could arm wrestle him like this, it would be fantastic, right? This would be exactly what I would want every time, okay? But obviously that's not going to be always attainable. But what is going to be attainable is to elevate it slightly, okay, in some capacity, okay? Now the reason you do a lower hand is because as soon as he starts to do an inside game, right? He's focusing on getting his cup in, right? And the process of getting his cup in, generally, okay, is a soft counter, okay? He generally is not fighting with all the fundamentals of arm wrestling. He's switching, he's giving up his rotation. That means I'm not feeling it all up here anymore. It's gonna start to come down, okay? So I need to raise, with a higher priority, the bottom of my hand, okay? And that's when I talk about the dropping of technique, okay? Because, you know, higher technique is all about raising the top of your hand, okay? But as he changes his game, I need to stay with him intimately so I can do the most damage, okay? So I need to raise the bottom of my hand. People talk about a low hand top roll, and I see a lot of people say, oh yeah, when I do a low hand top roll, I lower my hand. Well, that's exactly the opposite thing of what you want to do. You've fought hard to get the top of your hand high, okay? What I want to do is I want to raise the bottom of my hand and keep what I have up top. Now I want to raise that other part because I just want to eventually be arm wrestling him by his fingertips. This is where I'm going, right? So when we're pulling, okay, if he's decided he's going to press, okay, right away, I'm getting the bottom of my hand up, okay, right? You see that? How I'm really trying to put the pressure on his pinky, okay? And that's why the post is kind of an imaginary strength, because it never really is about your post. It's about what the post gets you, right? It controls the technique, okay, and it makes the person have to adjust. And from that adjustment is where it really pays dividends. So when you are in control of a match, instead of just always thinking about kickback, also think about dropping your hand, okay? And getting, it's not dropping your hand, sorry, elevating the base of your hand, okay? There's two main regrips in arm wrestling, okay? You can call it whatever you want. I call it a running regrip and an inside regrip, okay? Running because you're running away, outside, you know, outside regripping, okay? Outside regripping, okay? Really, so ready, go, bang, okay? The simple thing. You want to get your fingers higher, okay? So the first thing I do is I make sure that I'm going to be able to move my hand and he's not, okay? The way you do that is through post, okay? Get the pressure into the fingers, right? I did my move, bang, okay? I realize I'm not going to pin him. I put the pressure in the fingers, okay? Straight up rise, okay? Open up my hand. Now I'm going to exaggerate the movements, okay? The better you get, the smaller they get, right? So I do my move, bang, I get stopped, okay? Pressure in the fingers, okay? And now elbow comes forward slightly, okay? And you do a slight supination, okay? Like this. And then you reclose, reconnect, okay? So here we go again. Don't move, ready, go, bang, okay? Doesn't quite work, okay? Elbow comes forward, get on the fingers, slight supination, reclose, elbow comes forward, reconnect, okay? So what it feels like is it feels like this, like when you just look at me, it's like that, right? That's what you're doing, just like this, all right? Right? You're keeping pressure with your bicep, that's why it's coming up, okay? You're tucking your arm inside your body, which is like this, and you're supinating, right? So it's like this, boom, right? Just like that, right? You roll out, then you bring it in, okay? Now, I'm going to add a little bit more to the regrip, okay? That, what we kind of talked about last time is just, you know, you hit and then you get your fingers higher, okay? But like I said, there's two big ridges, okay? The fingers are going to affect how much you can cup, right? So the higher up you get your fingers on the person's hand, the more you're going to be able to bend them, okay? But this branch here, when you elevate it up, right, that interacts with his cup significantly, right? So you're trying to really get your thumb up as well. Huge part of arm wrestling is where that thumb sits against the other person's hand, okay? Now, the way you get your thumb higher, to a limited degree, it's controlled by just straight up how strong you can do this, right? Which is a tiny little strength, okay? We're talking about, you know, if you can do it with more than 10 pounds, you're considered a stud, right? But I mean, this is a strength. If you're a psycho arm wrestler, you can work on that. Like, you can work on your ability to do this. Okay, I've done it. Okay, but all right. but it's more of a positional thing. Okay, you'll get way higher dividends by just proper positioning on the table. So the way that you can free up your thumb, and that's really what it's about, because if we're here, give me pressure again, right? Okay, my ability to rise my thumb up right now when there's tension on it, okay, is going to be very limited. I can't really do it, okay? Like maybe a little bit of slip, but I'm losing stuff at the same time while doing it. It's just too hard, okay? So if I have him, you know, if I'm in like any kind of control of the match, I can come in a bit, right? I can go down the other side of the pyramid, right? So, okay, little refresher, pyramid, okay, starting off post, okay, and he counters me, okay, in my top roll. So I'm starting a top roll. He starts to break into some kind of inside movement, okay, which allows me to come down and maybe a low hand, maybe a kickback. But either way, pressure's here. Pressure's on my back of my hand, right? You guys following me? All right? All right, he's holding on to me, I'm top rolling. Okay? Now I want to regrip, right? Now I'm not just talking about regripping my fingers, I'm talking about regripping my thumb. Where is the pressure right now? The pressure's all right here, okay? So I can probably wiggle my fingers with not too much difficulty. I can probably get a couple good finger regrips in there, and it's going to be fabulous. But I'm thinking, wow, would I ever like to get my thumb higher up, okay? Because then it's going to be so much easier. But it's really hard to do that when he's holding on to me like that. So I can switch with my pyramid, okay? I can be on this side, and I can cross over. I can cross right over, and I can switch to an inside technique. And I can even come right down underneath him just for a second. Real scary sometimes. But if you do it, if you have enough control and the match is like real tight, you know, one of those good matches where it's like you don't know who's going to win and there's a lot of pressure and things aren't moving very much. If you come in real quick, okay, what it does is it changes where the pressure is. So very slow, okay, very slow. Here we are. Don't move, ready, go. Okay, right now we're pretty balanced, okay? We both have pressure in our fingers and in our hands, okay? Close match, okay? I'm going to try and maybe get a regrip in there. Okay, now I feel like I've got just a tiny bit more than him, okay? And I'm like, geez, if I just could move my thumb up right now, this is going to be fabulous. Okay, very slowly, I'm gonna do the same kind of regrip, okay? But I'm going to show more inside, okay? More of that inside technique, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in on his arm, okay? Here, okay? And now what's happened is the pressure, okay, instead of being all like kind of balanced and spread around here, it's gotten down into here, all right? So again, right, you see me, here we are, we're pulling, we're rising, cupping, rotating, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in a little bit, okay? All right, as soon as I come in, what's happened is the pressure's changed down here. Guess what? The thumb is free. See that? Okay, there's no pressure in the thumb anymore. And now my stud 10 pounds of pressure now can actually move, okay? Right, because all it needs to do is move. It doesn't have to power through anything, right? So I move where the pressure is, thumb can come up, and then I come back out. Again, so here we go, don't move, ready, go. So I'm working on my regrip, and I'm like, oh, geez, real close match. I'm like, I need my thumb, come in, and then I'm right back out, okay? I'm right back out with that pivot point significantly higher and with massive control, okay? Hey guys, when you're moving into press, right, make sure the press is real, right? It has to be a real threat, okay? When you do your top roll piece, okay, this moving in, it's under the legitimate threat of a press. A legitimate good press is inside the body, right?
Oh, we're pressing.
That's great. That's awesome.
I got the right grip.
We're gonna probably break it inside and pressing after this. But you want, like, you don't try to come in with your elbow inside your body, right? If you're top rolling, okay, before you try and do this regrip, make sure that elbow gets inside the body, okay? Because it has to be a legitimate threat. And this is no legitimate threat. That's like a legitimate great, he's going to break his arm. Like, so before you try, get that thing inside, all right? So we talked about roughly, you know, outside arm wrestling. Outside arm wrestling, the golden rule is you want to be chased, right? You can think about, like, people think about top rolling and, you know, posting and low handing, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna have this up, I'm gonna bend my wrist, I'm not gonna let them see I'm not gonna have my palm seen, you know, I'm gonna pronate. And to me, that's all very confusing and very robotic, you know? Initially, I understand that, you know, that's the way you're gonna have to think about it, but as soon as possible, try and just get to where you're thinking, come to me, hold on to me, you know? And it's, to me, it's a much easier way to think about it, you know? You don't have to think about all it, just be like, is he holding on to me? Yes, hold on to me more, hold on to me, you know? Chase me, come to me, you know? These are, you know, basic guiding thoughts of outside arm wrestling. Inside arm wrestling. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I got my buddy John Mill. He's always harassing me. I got a good friend John, and he's a hook arm wrestler, and he's always making fun of me, fairy finger walking, you know, like running away. He wants to do this thing, this Braveheart skit. I don't know if you guys see those in the Hook movies we do. He's like, he wants to make this movie like where you know that scene in Braveheart where the guy's like, would you give up all the rest of your days for this one chance? But he wants to make it about hooking. Like would you not come inside? And anyways, so inside arm wrestling, right? It's considered, you know, the real power move. Very rewarding to win in a hook. You know, the power output total is higher, you know? It's more of a strength game. It's going to move it a little bit out of the hand. It's going to bring it down a little bit more into, you know, guys with good biceps, guys with good wrist flexion. Love hooking, okay? Lots of different styles of hooks, okay? Talk about how you set up a hook. What's the mindset for hooking, okay? When you're thinking about hooking, okay, what I think about hooking is first I think that I can't top roll, okay? So I realize I can't top roll, but this is for me, okay? You can decide to hook for whatever reason you want. But what is vital in a hook, very simple, just this, okay? This defines a hook to me, okay? This is really what it's all about, is getting your wrist bent. And if you can get your wrist bent, most guys feel like they're in the match. They have something that they can work off of, okay? Because all of the negative is coming somehow, hopefully, off of the wrist flexion. Okay, so how do you set up your wrist flexion, okay? Let me steal John, okay? I'm going to talk about this a few different ways, okay? When you high hook, okay, and that's not really what I'm going to cover, okay, when you're outside arm wrestling, so we're working from where we were, okay? If you want to add to your hook piece, you're really looking at the top of your hand, okay? You're looking at your top finger, and you want it on their knuckle, okay? Right here, okay? Good, yeah. That's what I'm looking for all the time, right? And you can tell when you got a good grip. Like, say we just look at this match right now. John's got a better grip than me for a high hook if we both have our pronation set, right? Just because, you know, that's about 2 fingers. That's not even 1, okay? So anytime you're going to think about having a big cup component, get that finger high up, okay? Now, this is for outside. This is for adding cup to your existing top roll. Now I'm going to talk about cup as a lead, okay? Hooking as a lead, right? Now with this, my priorities are different. What I'm thinking about is I'm thinking about that dude's bicep. That's where my thought lies. My thought lies in controlling the center of the table. My thought lies in the commitment of my shoulder. Okay? I want more commitment than my opponent. I want to have more of my body over that match than my opponent. I want to be on his bicep and on his rotation. All I care about is the bending of my wrist above anything else. I want him to run from me. Okay? When you talk about the center of arm wrestling, I want him to run down this outside path and just keep running away from me. That's what my goal is, okay? So I'm going to crowd the center of the table. I don't care about my thumb anymore. Remember how we talked about this ridge and how so important it is and elevating it all the time? This ridge is how you reach a person's fingers, okay? I don't care about pronation right now, okay? It's not in my focus. My focus is on making him see his palm, and I'll give away that. I'll give it away if required. There's different ways I can give it away, and we'll get into that. But the thumb for inside arm wrestling, I don't care about the height of it whatsoever. Okay? I bury it. I bury it low. Okay? I bury it low to have a high angle. Okay? Here we go. So if he's at the table, okay, my thumb is coming low, and look how low it comes. Okay? No kidding. That low. This is where I'm going to come in. You see that? I'm going to come here. Okay? This is how extreme it can be. It doesn't have to be so extreme, but I'm going to show you this way so you really get it. Okay? Why does it come low? First reason is I really want to have my hand high. Okay? I don't want him to threaten this angle. I want to make sure I have it. So I'm going to go low so he can't really access it. The next thing that my thumb being low like that is going to do is going to cause problems with the setup for him. He's going to have to make some adjustments because it'll be an illegal grip. And the third thing is it's going to create space. Okay? Space here. What a good top roller wants is he wants to pull into your fingers. He wants to reach your fingers so he can attack your wrist, make your wrist bend back. By coming low, having your angle high, and creating this big space, it's going to take that much time before you can even find your fingers. Hopefully by then, you'll have time to get your bend in. So I come low, okay, and I'm threatening inside to find his bicep. I'm always going to think the angle from my shoulder to my hands is cutting into his arm, okay? Right now this is not good, right? He's cutting into my arm if you draw a line, okay? Right there, we're about even, okay? Now I always want it to be here, okay? I want to threaten, I want to be table boss. I want to control that center so that he cannot properly pull inside, okay? I'm trying to make it so he has to run from me. Because like I said earlier, you cannot pull inside when your arm's separated from your body. You can pull outside, it's great, okay? But if I'm out here, me coming in is a bad news story every time, especially if the other guy's all up on top of it. It's gonna be terrible. So, okay, so I'm coming in, thumb is low, angle's high, thinking about that angle, right? Here I am, okay? Good. See how low I am? Okay? See how much space I have. Now what's going on right here is, see the thumb knuckles? Okay? It's an illegal grip. It's an illegal grip, right? So he has to make an adjustment. And the adjustment that he has to make is he either has to come inside against me, that means he has to start committing his body, or he has to start doing a low hand top roll, which is really what I want him to do. Because that will help me find his bicep even more. All right? Come in, low thumb, high angle. Push off a little bit, control the center of the table. Okay? Take my grip. Space. Space here. Lots of space. Right now there's going to be a negotiation piece. Right? Negotiation piece is him having, the referee's going to tell him to see your knuckle. Okay, as he is dropping or whatever he's doing, I'm keeping my high angle, supinate, do that regrip that we were working on, right? And I'm going to regrip up his hand while he is dropping. What this is doing is it's giving me an awesome grip. The whole time I'm keeping that cup right there. That's space. That's space, okay? Low, push, okay? He's got it, I still, there. See that? As he grabs a little bit, I just climb higher up his hand. And what ends up happening is he ends up having to do a low move. He is gonna, you are making him run away from you. The lead in this kind of arm wrestling is flexion. Okay? The lead is bending that wrist, right? And hopefully you've got it set up that he's going to be going away like this, okay? And you are just going to turn him. Once you turn him, everything is great. You bend your wrist, he may start to overtax you. He may start to turn your wrist depending on how strong he is. You have choices. You have to give things up as well, right? Like you're not going to be able, you may just crush him, but if it's a close match, and that's what you're training for, close matches, is he may start to bring you over, even in this counter. You can give up angle in many different ways, right? He may make you give up this a little bit, so you're not like as on it as you'd like. What you don't want to do is you don't want to end up in a defensive hook, right? Because then he may be overcommitted and getting on your bicep. Okay, you want to keep that commitment. So the way you do it is as he starts to turn you, okay, you'll fall behind with your shoulder and block. Okay, right? So that is inside commitment arm wrestling. Okay, all right, because this is better than this. Okay, right? Because these angles, when you talk about angles of value, okay, it goes from most important to least important. All right. So if you want to give something up, I'd always prefer to give something up in my shoulder, my elbow, before I give something up in my wrist. Okay? So by giving something up with my body angle, way better than giving up my pronation. Right? So instead of being like this and keeping my body angle, I'll give this up. Right? Right? It's the same effect on the hand. Right? So again, I recognize that I'm not going to top roll this dude. As soon as I grip up and try and run or whatever, he's not having it. And I just know from our past matchups or whatever that this guy, he's got a mega hand, mega top roller. I want him to force it inside, right? High angle. Keep your high angle. Thumb low, angle high, threaten this way. Threaten this way, right? Balanced by adjusting with deflection and connection, right? Okay? There we go. On the don't, and you can change your stance as well. Okay, change your stance to almost, you can do foot propped. Okay, for more drive this way, or you can just generally just center more this way as opposed to more of an open stance. So as you get behind it, your only thought is hopefully you have him, so he's not really coming this way. Hopefully you have him, and this is the reason why you do this move, is because he's too heavy on his bicep. He's too heavy on back pressure. That don't move, ready, go, boom, you have that control. And then from here, you can basically do whatever you want. We'll get into that a little bit later. But that's really, I think, the best way to set up inside style arm wrestling. Okay? You're not going to be leading with any kind of pronation. Leading with flexion. You want to mess around with that for a bit?
Yeah.
Kind of interesting thing on rotation is there's rotation high, okay, that's through the bicep root, and the thumb, okay, that's like high rotation. That's like rotation for all outside techniques. All your top rolls, you're gonna pivot through your thumb, okay, that's kind of the perfect place to spin off. But inside rotation is different, right? So whatever, that'll be fine. When you're hooking, right? When you're hooking, and you're either pressing or any kind of deep hook where your bicep is not involved, because that's like we were covering earlier, your bicep is not involved in most deeper style of hooks. There's still rotation, but it's no longer through your thumb. It's through the bottom of your hand, right? This twist downwards, right? There's rotation involved in that, right? A downwards twist. And it's tied together by your ability to sink, right? So, like, whatever. Down here. You want to lighten me up there? Just give me nothing. Good. Okay, so, like when I'm doing rotation, right? So much of it, this is like kind of your minimum. If you can't do this, you shouldn't be working with it, really, with rotation. But, so from here, you're going to twist inwards. Okay, so you're in a hook, and then you're going to twist down. Okay, all right. Because when you're in the hook, right? Once we settle in, so much of the hook is this downwards twist, right?
Yeah.
Right, and that's rotation, but it's a low rotation. Yeah, I mean, I love to train rotation and cup. They're huge. They're huge strengths. But I go through periods, like. I'll get focused in on a piece, and I'll work it and work it and work it, and I'll get great gains, I'll get good results, and then there'll come a point when I'll have done too much, and my gains will diminish, and I might even start to get like, I don't want to say injured, but I will have done a bit too much, so then I'll switch around. And I generally cycle between, the big ones. You can never go wrong with working your cup, rotation, rise. And then after that, those are the big three. Those are the ones that are all like, they're like, that right there is 85% arm wrestling. You know, then I'll start to do things like my sink, okay? Or just that press piece, okay? I'll work that a lot. That's a good one. My supination piece, okay? Work a lot of supination. Reverse, just to bring balance to the forearm.
Yeah.
So many injuries in arm wrestling happen just because we do too much of the same thing. You know, the body's designed to do everything, and when you love only one thing, your body gets all out of balance, right?
Yeah.
Like your body needs balance, right? You get too tight, you get too spiraled inwards, everything's internal, twisting in, cupping in, you know.
Yeah.
But
You're a lot stronger this way than you are that way.
Of course you are. Yeah, and you always will be.
Yeah.
But it's important to bring it back that way, just so this can function better.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, so working balance is a part of it. Yeah. Talk a little bit about injuries. Okay, and there's a lot of different ideas about injuries and arm wrestling. You're gonna get injuries wherever it is. It's part of any sport. Any sport you do to a high level, you're gonna get injuries. Tendonitis, whatever, that's a common one. And when I say injuries, I'm not talking about breaking your arm or, you know, something that requires surgery. You know, I'm not talking about where you actually, you know, ruptured your tendon or blew a tendon off a bone or, like, you know, blew a ligament completely. I'm talking about, you know, basically being something past sore, you know, something that takes, like, you know, 5 or 6 weeks. Like, you know, I hurt myself in a match. There's nothing obvious, nothing went purple, you know, nothing is like visibly torn or broken, but it's something bad happened, you know. And for me, that doesn't keep me off the table. That does not keep me outside the gym. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I've got this injury, and I just want to let it heal." To me, is the worst thing you can do. To me, what I think is, you never want to stop getting into the gym. You never want to stop going to the club and training. Reasons why, okay? The big reason for why you don't want to stop going to the club is you will become a better arm wrestler training through injury. The big thing is you need to let your guys know that you're injured, okay? The club, you have to have a great club environment. You need to have dudes who you can talk to and you say, "Hey man, I'm hurt real bad in this spot. I'll show you exactly where I'm hurt. You got to take care of me." And hopefully your guys are cool enough that they will do that. And what it's going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to diversify. I believe you become a great arm wrestler through injury. In 1998, I was a relatively new arm wrestler. I was an arm wrestler who had really just found that really, really strong spot known as the press. You know what I mean? You know, I'd been arm wrestling competitively for, you know, about 5 years, and if the match stopped, I knew if I turned like this, there was a whole lot of pressure coming. And I'd been thinking about this guy, Earl Wilson. He's a great Canadian arm wrestler. I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'm going to beat this guy at the Mike Hugh Classic. And I did beat him. We hit in. I'd planned the match. I'd arm wrestled him 1,000 times in my mind before I had stepped up to the table that day. And I hit out, and I came inside, and I committed. And I buried him. I buried his arm. But Earl Wilson is a gorilla. And in the process of me burying his arm, he seriously stretched out some stuff in there. Like I was done for the rest of the tournament, basically. I got my win, and there was no sound, and nothing broke. But something got stretched to a point where if I took my finger and touched here, it was ridiculous pain. Like, it was not happening. Like, there was no supination ability. There was no side pressure in my game. Nothing. Because when I hit my press, right, instead of being here and being all in line, I was probably about here. And I just forced that thing in there, you know. It was great, but, you know, in that process, I got an injury. So what I did was I just kept on training. I kept on pulling. And what I did was for 1.5 years, I top rolled. And I only top. And at that point, I really didn't know how to top roll very well. Outside pulling, because that's all I could do. That's all I was able to do. And if I had not received that injury, who knows, maybe I wouldn't have top rolled for several years after that. Anyways, the injury came back. You know, a year and a half later, my hook came back, and my side pressure was great, and there was no issues. But over the course of that period, I've added a huge, you know, balance piece to my game. And every time I've gotten injured, I've still arm wrestled. After my surgery, I was on the table, you know, I think it was 3 days after, actually it was the next day. I was on the table arm wrestling. But I told my guys, I'm like, listen, like, you can't do anything to me. Like, I just had surgery. Like, all I want you to do is just touch my hand. And I'm like, it's all I can do right now. That's all I can do, just hold hands with me. And, you know, but I knew that doing nothing was not the right choice. You know, golden rule of arm wrestling: don't ever stop. Don't stop, and don't get injured. Those two things. I've failed, but you know, I'm keeping on working at it. So, you know, and through that process, they were cool with me. Nobody hurt me anymore, and they let me kind of slowly work back into it. If I had just said I'll be back in 3 or 4 weeks, you know, or 2 months or 3 months or whatever, you know, all that stuff that I in between there wouldn't have happened. There's always something you can do. Anyways, that's kind of how I feel about injuries and pulling. Let me see, what else I want to touch on? The thumb, right. I forgot about this part. Outside arm wrestling. I want to show you guys just a very simple little trick, okay, about table setups. And maybe I'll show you a few other little tricks while our food's still digesting. So you want the guy to come to you, right? You want to be chased outside arm wrestling. So much of it, and this goes for inside arm wrestling too. It's what target you're presenting, okay? What are they gonna bite on, okay? And it's about the thumb, okay? The thumb, you have to be able to see the thumb knuckle. This is the problem, right? This is the problem. Like if I wanted to arm wrestle you, I would love to be all up here, but the rule says that you need to see that stupid thumb knuckle. So this is the big issue, right? So the way you can really screw guys around in the setup is where you put your thumb, okay? Whenever you're arm wrestling and you're presenting something for the person to grab, right? You want to have your thumb as open as possible, right? I don't ever want to be grabbing somebody or gripping around with a low thumb, okay? Because what it means is their fingers can come over really nice and high, and they can get really far around my hand and in a dangerous spot. I don't want somebody up around the top of my hand. I don't want them there. I want them down lower, chase them down lower so I can start to get into their fingers, right? But if I have my hand high, my thumb high, then there's no way they're going to be able to get anything here, so they grab lower down, okay? Always have your thumb high up, okay? Whenever you're gripping up. Come on up and you'll feel it, right? Like here, I got a thumb low, okay? Just take grip, okay? Probably feels real comfortable, right? Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit of energy into keeping my thumb high, right? Take a grip. You probably right away, you're like, I don't even really, it doesn't feel anywhere near as good, right? Yeah. Right, and that was very easy, right? Just by having my thumb high. Now in this process, there's trump cards for him, right? So what he wants to do, if he's going to decide to grab me, he's going to want to get as far around me as possible, right? Right. So if you he's going to lift his elbow up, and he can even come right around, right? Like if you hold your thumb up, right, nice and high up. If I want to trump this, okay, I can be like, right, I'm going to, do like this kind of thing, right? Come right around, set it, and then bring it back, okay? But if he's smart, what he's going to do is he's going to hide his hand, okay? Right, so do it to me now. I'm gonna hide my hand so he can't get as far around me, right? So as he comes in, okay, right, he can't get as far around, right? And then I'm good again, right? So always, as he's approaching, okay, hide your hand, right? As soon as he starts to come, I'll do it to you, right? I'm gonna grab at you, right? Keep your hand nice and high, right? Now as I come in, see your palm slightly. No, the other, that's it, right? And pull up into my fingers. There you go, right? That's probably feels dynamite right there if you close up your, yeah, right? Dynamite, right? Yeah, you're way out there, right? So you always want to hide your thumb and not let them get as far around you, right? So just as they're coming in, just a little. And guys are going to get frustrated. Guys are going to be like, you know, so everything needs to be subtle and needs to be small, because an advantage that's big is never going to fly. Any great referee is going to be like, this is just crazy, and he's going to throw you in a ref script, or you're going to get a warning. You know, if it's subtle, you know, there's a better chance that your opponent's going to bite off on it, and there's a better chance that the referee's going to let it fly. Yeah, but when you practice it, you can practice, you know, the big pieces and then work on shrinking them. Strap work. Okay. I don't know. You guys have probably seen the video that I've done on straps. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll add a bit to it. The strap is really, in my opinion, what real arm wrestling is. You're going to end up in the strap in most matches that guys feel uncomfortable. Most guys who start to not feel right, most of the time, one guy's going to pull out. Very hard call for a referee to make, intentional slip fouls. Most leagues are kind of just moving away from the whole thing and just saying, you know, all slips go to straps. That's happening in a lot of leagues, and I can see even eventually WAF may move there in you know, a decade or something. Who knows? You know, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, it's a very difficult call for a referee to make, because there's a lot of arguments that an arm wrestler can throw at you. You know, there's arguments for flop wrist pressing. There's arguments for King's move that, you know, it doesn't make it as simple as, you know, he was at fault. You know, it's a hard call to make. So what I'm trying to say is that it's inevitable to pull in straps, really. So you need to practice in them. The best way to, you know, become good at pulling the strap is just pulling it all the time. You know, you're going to get real comfortable. The big differences are when the strap is on, you are fully connected. So all these movements that we feel, the person's automatically going to feel them, and you're not, and that is not the case outside of the straps. Let me steal it. Right. So when we're outside of the strap, okay. If I want to hook Dwayne, if I want to pull him out, okay. If I want to get him away from his body, and I'm doing it in a low capacity, I basically need to have a wrist, right? Like if I want to pull him away, I pretty much need to have wrist flexion involved, okay? If this strap is on, it's absolutely not a requirement. He's gonna come back without the wrist, right? Like if we're tied together, right? So we're tied together, and no matter what, you know, give me a little bit of pressure, right? Here we are. I have no cup involvement, right? Right away. I mean, that's happening, okay? So it increases the value of elbow and shoulder strength, you know? Floppers do much better in the strap, because you do not need to have a wrist to extend a guy. It's a big difference. Same thing with rotation. Normally, when you talk about the rotation of the arm, of the hand, for that to work, the guy needs to be holding on to you outside of the strap. If you're not going to hold on to me and I spin my hand, nothing's happening. Nothing at all is happening if you're not holding on to me. I'll spin out into nothing. If you're rising up and I decide to spin, nothing's happening. But when you're in the strap, if you twist, right away it's having an effect on the person's wrist. Right away. So that adds value to your rotation piece. Same thing with all the pieces that, you know, supination feels it automatically, you know. So what I think is the strap is going to add value to pronation and the strength of your shoulder and connection without the flexation. So really, the big difference is you need massive pronation if you're going to be a great strap puller. Massive pronation. King's move arm wrestling. You guys know the King's move. Okay? People have their opinions about the King's move. I think it's a beautiful part of arm wrestling. Just my opinion. I think, like all moves, it has a counter. But King's move arm wrestling doesn't exist outside the straps. It's impossible to do the move without a strap. Take away the strap from arm wrestling, Michael Todd will be a non-player. But in no way am I saying that's bad. I think it's great. I think the strap is a great part of arm wrestling, and I'm just a big proponent for practicing. And that's why I also use the 1.5 inch strap, because you cannot get the volume with an inch wide strap. You will hurt yourself. You will get nerve damage. Whether they move to these eventually, I don't know. I'm not selling them or anything like that. It's just what I honestly believe. Yeah, when it comes to the straps, generally, you just want all straps towards you. Very simple. We'll work, if you guys want, I know you've seen the video, but if you want, I'll kind of talk you guys through the cheats, kind of. Yeah, because there's a lot of things that you really have to pay attention to in the strap. Okay, why don't we do it very, very slow? Who wants to come up here and be a test dummy with me? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so right away, come to the table. Okay, considerations for what side do I want to be on? All right, they need to change these straps. Really, that's the real answer, because there is such a big advantage. Anyways, we're not there yet. This is what we're working with. I'm the head referee, okay? No, that's cool. Stay there. I'm the head referee. He's right there, okay? If I'm going to pull straps, okay, I really, really want to be on this side of the table for arm wrestling right hand. I always want my palm to face the head referee, all right? There's a couple of reasons for that, but that's generally the rule. The only reason, in my opinion, that you ever want to be on this side of the table, well, if you look better from that side, maybe that might be one reason. But seriously, a good reason to be on this side is if you think that this guy's some kind of crazy flash pinner that just has a chance of banging you down really, really quick, and you think that this ref can't drop down in time, to see it, and then you're gonna stop. Like, that might be a reason, but it's not a very good reason. 99.9% of the times, I want this side of the table. Okay, that's because there is a thing that goes on here. Like, whatever's going on has to go through this guy and then to this guy. So there's that delay that you can take advantage of. And the big reason is the buckle is on your opponent's hand. And it's not that the buckle is on his hand. It's the way that it gets tightened is the real issue. The way that the strap is tightened pulls your hand up and your opponent's hand down. And that's where the real advantage takes place. When it comes to cheats in the straps, there's only one cheat that he has versus the many that I really have. If you have the buckle, it's not the end of the world. It's just you are disadvantaged. Right. So first off, I want this side of the table. Okay. So we slip out. There's a number of ways to slip out. So generally, I would really try to do my thing, to try and stay up top, as much as possible, and make it a legit slip out. Like, actually try and top roll the guy, actually try and do your thing, right? Like, that was a slip on him, right? He slipped out there, did it great, balled up underneath my hand, saved his rotation, right? Saved his rotation, was hard with his rotator, yeah, and just gave up a little bit of his rise, right? Balled up underneath, perfect, right? That's a great way to slip. I've seen guys who can't do that, who just move into a flop. I've seen some guys who just come straight down. Okay, I've seen that, and I've seen it work. Okay, but I suggest that way is probably the best way of just ball up, stay as high as you can until you can't anymore. Keep your rotator hard. Ball up through your thumb.
Ball your fingers together like that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Got your straps. Okay, so when the strap is going on, okay, who wants to be my referee?
Head referee.
Okay.
Easy, bro.
All right, so we'll do it very slowly, right? Okay, so he's going to start to put the strap on. Now, the first thing that I'm thinking right away is, see here, I'm going to bend my wrist back just slightly. Just slightly. And the reason that I bend my wrist back just a little bit, okay, is the way that the strap runs, okay? I want to make this strap run as low down as possible, okay? And by bending my wrist back just a little bit, it's more likely to fall low. If I have my wrist bent in or whatever, okay, it's more likely to run high, okay? And these are just small angles, okay?
That's why they do that.
Right, okay, and it's more for my side than it is for yours because your piece doesn't even happen until much later, okay? Right? But anyway, so I'm gonna have it fall back. Anytime you can get your hands on the strap, do it, okay? The referee is gonna have different levels of being okay with it. Referees who are really tight at WAF or whatever, it's probably not gonna fly, okay? But a lot of tournaments, and even high-level tournaments, you can get away with it, especially if you're a nice, pleasant, polite fellow, you know? You use your manners, say, listen, man, can I just help you here? You want me to just hold this for you? Yeah, exactly. Right? And it's much better that you do it before the other guy does it, okay? And listen, like, the referee is the shittiest job in the world, okay? It is a terrible job. You're nobody's friend, and everybody hates you. You know what I mean? You can't make a good call. It's impossible. It's only bad calls. So normally, you know, reffing declines, okay? Normally at the beginning of the tournament, the reffing is tight and precise, and by the time the most important matches roll around, nobody gives a fuck. And it's just like, yeah, whatever, guys. You wanna? So get your hands on the straps if possible. Okay, worst thing that can happen is maybe you get a warning, okay? So if you just, you know, whatever, you know, I'm not telling you to cheat, I'm just telling you that these things happen, okay? This is what the world is, okay? All right, so in this process, all I'm saying is if you can get any strap towards you is good news, okay? This intersection, okay? Good news, okay? This intersection. Low. People talk about, oh, I want a high strap. Experimented. I don't see it. I wish I could get somebody to really explain it to me. I've had discussions with people about the merits of it. It's never made sense in my mind. If you find a good reason, please make a video or something to really explain it to me because I don't know it. I've heard arguments, just don't believe any of them. It's all about being low. There is a magical point of do not go beyond. Like sometimes, you know, it's like if it goes any lower, it's not really going to help you anymore. But you definitely want it lower as opposed to higher. Okay, so as the process is going on, the big advantage that the guy on my side has, as opposed to this guy, is the webbing height, okay? What the straps do is they're going to lock us together eventually. Eventually, we're going to be connected. And my big goal is to have the sum parts of my hand higher than the sum parts of his hand, okay? And the way I do that is I try to get my webbing higher than his. Okay, the way I do that is I try and be as sneaky and subtle about it as possible. Okay, and the way I do that is I keep kind of trying to sneak forward. The referee's going to tell you to keep your elbows the back of the pad. This never happens. Okay, this never happens. The elbows always are sliding forward. Okay, elbows sliding forward just slightly. It just has to be more than your opponent. Okay, and you're going to see your palm. Okay, you're going to see your palm, and the reason why you see your palm is because it's an illusion. Okay, like if you put your hand flat like the way you're supposed to, okay, right now it can look like our hands are relatively even, okay? But when we come together, you see that mine is higher, right? Okay, so when he's looking at it, you know, he's like, oh yeah, okay, I'm tired, and he's doing something, and, you know, whatever. Okay, and then by the time he actually tightens it down, he realizes, but he doesn't care. Okay? All right, and this is the truth. This is the truth, and you know, unfortunately, this is the game that we're all playing. Okay, and both guys are doing it, and the referee's job is a difficult job. The referee's job is to start a match within the rules. He's not there to save anybody. You know what I mean? So long as, you know, thumb knuckles showing, wrist straight, center of the table. I mean, he can't say, "Oh, you got more than him. We're gonna have to change everything." No, it's you got fucked. You know, like, and the ready go is coming shortly thereafter. Okay, so sneaking forward, seeing your palm slightly to set up the tightening process. Okay, give us a little bit more of the old wrapping, right?
Well.
Okay, so now another thing, right around the time, go on a little bit farther. Right around this time, okay, this is when you want to stop right there. Okay, this is around the time when you want to start pushing past, right? So you got both parts of your regrip, right? You got the running regrip, which we were talking about earlier. That's getting your thumb high, right? That's getting your fingers high. That's getting your webbing up, right? Okay, seeing your palm coming forward, okay? Getting the sum of my hand higher. The next part of it is the whole push pass thing, right? The thing we've been working on with the hooking, because arm wrestling is both. It's inside and outside. And the best way I've found to get this going is to keep your high piece, and then it's almost like you're shooting the gun with the bottom part of your hand, right? Just to squeeze, okay? Right, just to squeeze, okay? And what you're doing is you're forcing the guy lower on your hand, okay? Right, and that's happening probably right around now, okay? Right, just holding the dude there, yeah. All right, yeah, exactly, right? Just pushing them down. It's not even really so much of a cup as you bring your fingers real close to where you are, and then you push it down, right? Boom. Down. Yeah.
Trying to squeeze them down.
Yeah, you can even, like, watch this, see how you're kind of being flat, okay? Watch this, instead of being flat, I actually come and I push you down.
Oh, wow.
See that?
That's
okay? Right? Right, so come like this, right? Curl the tops of your fingers. Yeah, that's it. No, that's better. Okay? Right?
Who noticed that?
Yeah, right? Okay, so that way you can really get some good push.
Yeah,
you can push the guy right down. Yes.
Never tried that.
Exactly. Okay? Good. Okay, so now the strap is getting tightened. Yeah? Okay, and now is when everything's the most important, right? Now is really when the tightening, so now you really have to see how I'm coming up like this. I'm pushing, I'm getting that thing up. Oh yeah, tighten that thing up. Oh yeah, see, okay, I've got everything. I've got everything, right? You see how much I've got here? I'm super high, it's just, it's my dream, okay? Yeah, yeah, and it leaves them with very little, okay? So that's the main cheats that you're after. If things go bad from here, depending on how much you want to bail out, okay, there's a few things you can do. Okay, the great thing you can do is you can just reach up and forward. Okay, that's it. Yeah, reach. And you forget about keeping your elbow on the pad. Forget all about that. Right? Like here, get right up. Like, take it back from me. Take it back from me. I've got so much here. Let me just give it back. It's hard even to take it back. Right?
Yeah, I'm feeling better now.
Yeah, okay, he feels good. Yeah. Right? So I'm gonna do it back to him, right? My elbow's gonna come right off the pad, I'm gonna come forward, right? And I'm gonna come up, right?
Yeah, these are hard now.
Okay, so now I've got it back, right? I've got that height, right? See?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's a great way when things go wrong, right? Just come at him.
Sink in.
And then come up. Right? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And if things are terrible, okay, maybe not fully terrible, but here's a great thing to say. They're not tight enough.
Yeah, totally.
And what you do is you pull them towards you. Okay? Before the referee has a chance, or this guy's got a chance. He's going to say no, he's going to be upset. Tensions are going to be high, but it's just another, and you may get a warning. You may. But a warning is really just not a big deal. Okay? And you probably won't, because people want to see somebody get pinned. Another problem with arm wrestling, when you have rules and you have people that want to win, it's a terrible mess. Okay, so you can adjust the straps at this point. You can mess with your straps, or if it's just totally terrible and you realized you really messed something up and you're not getting it back, you can be like, forget it. And seriously, you can do it. If it's terrible. And the referee might be completely pissed off, but this is better than just losing your match. Is better. If it's just horrible, then don't start a match when it's terrible. Yeah, that is my basic advice for strap pulling. Yeah.
So what's on the buckle side?
Okay, so right. Okay, so let me go buckle, and this is there's only one tiny little advantage that I have that he doesn't, okay? And it's right here. It's in this process right here. Because this piece, see this piece? This is complete on his side already, okay? It's already set. That's where it's going to be. Okay, on my side, right, it's not complete yet, okay? That tightening piece happens at the very end. And by the time it's put on, it's tight, so it's hard to adjust it. Okay, that's the magic that's going on here. Okay, now believe it or not, you're going to think that this cheat is ridiculously silly and it's impossible, but let me tell you, it works, even at high level, okay? All right, so like I said, you want all straps towards you, okay? That's all my straps, and that's all his straps as well. I want all his straps towards me. If I could pick to have his strap move up, I would. If I could pick to have this angle be from here to here, I would definitely do that. Okay, and that's what I can affect on this side. So right away when the strap is going on, okay, what I can do is when I'm kind of messing around here, is I can push up on his strap. Okay, you think that he'd notice that, but trust me, people do not notice it. Okay, they really don't. They think you're hooking them. They're thinking about something else. Guys who are great, you know, there's so many ways to be good at a sport. Okay, you can be strong, you can be smart, you can be charismatic and a politician. You know, like you watch Travis arm wrestle. I learned a lot from pulling Travis. He's a great technician, especially at the start. Travis doesn't stop talking. He doesn't stop talking from the time he gets called up to the time they say go. He's working like crazy. He's working the referee. He's putting pressure on that guy. You know, he's putting pressure on this guy. He's putting pressure on the audience. You know, he's trying to ramp everything up so that he stops seeing things. So he stops seeing things. So they get blind and things start happening and he's in control of the situation, right? So you can do that same thing, right? When you're doing these cheats, you know, you have to detract people's attention, right? It's almost like magic, right? You need to be talking to the referee, talking to this guy, and you're working your cheat, you know, so that he's thinking something else is going on, and that's actually what's going on. Okay. Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah. And you should pull in the strap constantly. Like in practice, you get to the table and pull in the strap. Get comfortable, because once. It's like the default setting. The default setting in arm wrestling is referee's grip. You can always get a referee's grip. Just face it. Like, that's a part of arm wrestling that you can get to. You can force it. You can also force the strap. I feel that the majority, if you want to be really a hardcore, great arm wrestler, be prepared to pull in the strap in a referee's grip every single time you arm wrestle. You know? Because the other guy can do it to you. And if he can do it to you, then, well, that's the game, you know. That's an end state, and you can work that piece too. So I'd say if you want mastery over any piece, it'd be straps, referee's grip. So yeah, why don't we do? You guys want to pull again for a bit?
Anything else you can do in the reference grip?
In the referee's grip?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, referee's grip is a total nightmare. I gotta say that the referee's grip is something that the sport needs to look at. I think it's a mess. I think it's a nightmare. I think it's high stakes. All I think it does is it adds pressure on the entire situation. Because I'll tell you, with all my years of arm wrestling, people don't start fair. They don't do it. And in the referee's grip, there is movement, there is pressure. Okay, and what it does is it's not achieving its aims. Right? The referees are being told that if there's movement, that they have to call a foul. Right? And at the same time, arm wrestlers are under the pressure to win, and the referee is under the pressure to start the matches. And there's the paradox right there, you know? So, in my opinion, what really needs to happen is there needs to be an adjustment piece to the referee's grip itself. But just know that you can still cheat in a referee's grip, and this guy's under a lot of pressure to start the match. Okay, there's things that you can do with your thumb. When you in the referee's grip, when they say close the thumb, where you close the thumb can have massive influence on what the other guy can do. Like if we're doing a referee's grip, okay, when they say close the thumb, okay, if I know the guy is a hooker, I can close my thumb like this, you know, and I technically did close my thumb. You know what I mean? Like I can close it wide. Okay. If I know the guy is a post guy, I can close my thumb like this. Okay. So there's adjustments that you can do with the thumb, right? If I know he's a top roller, and they say close your thumb, me closing it like this, right? You know, it changes things. You know, I think that the referee's grip it's just really more high stakes. You know, we can work with it. Another thing that you have to know is timing of a referee's grip. Just know that as soon as the hands are closed, that referee is calling go. So a lot of things is people do the referee's grip and they feel like they weren't ready, but that's getting closed, ready, go. You know, and you have to know it's almost like it's your don't move. You know, as soon as that hand gets closed, it's coming. So guys start their cheat process right there heavily, right? So, right, they're together, like close the one thumb, close the other, close the hand, and then as soon as that hand is closed, guys are basically starting the process. Yeah. Anyways, let's pull for a bit and we'll take it out again. It starts with the threat of a press. Okay. Threat of a press and a clearance of the thumb. Okay, so just hold on, okay?
Okay, aguanta, te voy a enseñar ahorita.
So I go. Okay. Not strong enough. I can't
No está
finish.
fuerte, no puede terminar así.
I keep pressure in his fingertips.
Hace presión en los dedos,
I keep pulling up,
y bota hacia arriba el dedo,
and I start to come like I'm gonna press.
ahí empieza a hacer
Okay?
presión.
And as I'm doing this,
Cuando
my
hace eso, el dedo,
my thumb comes up
el
there.
dedo lo
Okay?
bota,
Now I have space.
tiene
As
espacio
soon as
ahora
I
para
made
subir
that
los dedos.
space, back up over.
Ajá, o sea, hace espacio para el dedo para poder subir los dedos,
So,
los dedos.
not strong enough. Press, thumb up.
Haces
Press,
presión
thumb
con
up,
el dedo
press, thumb
para
up.
subirlo.
As soon as pop, over you.
O sea, hace presión con el dedo para poder subir los otros cuatro y poder rotar.
What people do by mistake is they go and they just get their fingers higher, and it's not enough. It's not enough. Just to get your fingers higher leaves your thumb behind.
O sea, que toda la gente que lo único que quiere hacer es subir los cuatro dedos, pero que no se olvidan del dedo
But you
gordo.
can't pry off your thumb. You need to be able to pry off your thumb.
Sí, o sea, el primero es el dedo gordo, botarlo y luego subir los otros cuatro.
Yes. More up.
Y sácalo más el dedo.
Yes. More thumb.
Sácalo más.
Get that thing up.
Sácalo hacia afuera el dedo, hacia afuera el dedo.
Yes. Now recover.
No, ahora cubre los otros dedos, así.
Be more strong. Press. Watch. You go there. Yeah, go there. There's nothing there. Nothing there. You have to make me chase. You have to go this way. Okay. Not like that. Up. But with the bicep. Make me have to hold on. Make me drop. And stay tight. Get your elbow inside. Watch. So once I do this, go ahead. Look, and then elbow inside. Yeah. Elbow, hip. Yeah, hip. There. Hip.
La cadera hacia la derecha.
Yeah. Now walk over. he's used to people running from him, and he's very comfortable with that. You know what I mean? So don't be scared of a great top roller. You go right up there with him. Go right up with him, but it's not a normal top roller. You have to make him come to you. You have to make him chase you. Most top rollers. Yeah, watch. I'm gonna do it to you. Like I will do the move to you. Okay. Yeah, but you can do it too, and then I'm over, right? And I got you. So kick back. Like the thing. This is what it works on. In arm wrestling, you never fight somebody where you're gonna lose. Okay? If I know that you say this, okay, I know that if I fight you there, I'm gonna lose. Okay? Okay, so a hooker, arm wrestling starts with the hands. Okay? Hand control is up, it's wrist, and it's twist. Those three things.
The thing when you fight with a hooker is like one leg, I don't know, grab you from your wrist, and then you grab him back.
Just wait, I'll get to it. Okay. When you talk arm wrestling and you talk hand control, okay? When you talk arm wrestling, the first thing that happens is we meet with our hands, okay? And when you talk about just initial strength to kind of dictate the flow of arm wrestling, it's this, okay? This is big, then this, then this. Those three things, big, very big. That's 80% of arm wrestling right there. Okay, so what a hooker does, a hooker knows that he can't beat somebody's hand, right? If you can beat my hand, then you do that, because it's easier, there's less power, okay? So a hooker, he trades this, he says, okay, I don't need this, I give it up so that I can get this, right? Okay, okay. Now this is where this comes in, okay? You don't have to fight over what is not being contested. You understand that? Okay. So if you are going like this, okay, what is that? That is this, right? Okay. So you're giving me this. I don't need it because you've already given it. You're already retreating this. Understand? So what I can do is, if I know you're going like this, I go like this, and I bump you right out of what you want to do. Okay? That's what's going on. And I'll do it. I'll just flatten you out. Right? You're not going. Yeah. Then we're back on the hand, right? Then I can still pop it.
Entrega la muñeca.
Yeah. And I'm like here. Not quite as good, but I'm still going that way. It's still, even if I'm not as strong, I'll try and do it. But if you're not coming up, I don't need you to hold it. I don't even need it until you come back up, and I can hit your finger. If I went in with you, it's easier for you. Watch. Okay, if I'm here with you, you're stronger. You're way stronger. If I start coming this way, yeah, I like to fight like my style. No, I don't want to fight anybody's style. I don't want to fight anybody's style. Wherever the guy who arm wrestling wants to go, that's where I don't want to go. I go where he does not want to go.
Sí, o sea, él siempre trata de no depender del mismo estilo que el otro, siempre trata de empezar.
Yeah, I never go where a guy wants to go until I know that I can just beat him. Once I know that I got him, then. But in the beginning, never. I always go the other place, and I always try and keep it in between. Never in a lock. Always floating. Yeah. up.
No lo dejes descansar, Pudiarnowski.
Bring your elbow forward. Up. Great. Now, yes, and as you bring your elbow forward, yeah. And then do it again. Up. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Yes. Not too much. And now out again. Yeah. And up again. Yeah. And out again. Yeah. Yeah, but it's something you can do, but I would. Then, like once you give it up, it's really hard.
No lo dejes descansar, Pudiarnowski.
Got your wrist. I'd hit out, and I'd hit out. Like, but if I don't get it, like say like up here, right?
Ok.
Es lo que te decía, que ya ves que me cuesta mucho y luego se mete. Pues,
I top walk. Yeah, and again, no, yeah, stay out. Yeah. You're good now, right? Now you're good. You're over. You gotta get over. Because you can always go scratch, right? If you start to feel bad, scratch. You know, but if you hit, don't put that in. Hit. Yeah. Up. Yeah. Again. Bring the elbow forward. Yeah. Again. Up. Stand up. Yes. Now you got it. You just always come back. When you come forward, yeah. When you come forward, the angle is. Watch this. Like, is this? Say I'm here. I'm so strong. Watch this. Now it's over. It's easy, right? Same with you, right? When you pull from the back, you start pulling to the side. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Always bring the elbow forward and re-grip.
Chale Ramos, que tenemos nada más media hora nosotros. Estuvo que ya con eso ya estuvo que me la chingué.
Yeah, you got it.
Sí.
No. All together. Everything comes up. Yeah, and yeah, same time. Yeah.
Al mismo tiempo.
Yeah. And come back. Yes, and when you come back, keep pressuring my fingers. Okay. Yep. Up. Yes. Keep. Yep. Up. Yep. Yes. See how much you got?